Hi guys, I'm Nick Bester and welcome back to my channel. I recently broke sub 220 in the marathon distance at Berlin Marathon. That was my last full marathon send and we are going again. You know what I've realized? You can never get too greedy in the sport. You don't want to set goals that are too high. But we're full sending at London Marathon. I would love to PB, achieve higher heights than I ever have before. So in the course of this video, I'm going to talk through exactly what my goals are going to be for London Marathon, exactly how I'm going to get there, why this one's super special, why it's motivational, and why there's a little extra something about the London Marathon in the air this year. But yeah, you're probably wondering why the background looks a bit different. I've come to a different area of my running cave / office. You know what, it's never a good idea to sit down for too long, especially when you smashing at 150k weeks. So yeah, if you're sitting down and watching this and a bit tired, stand up, shake it out a little bit and get the body moving. So just to remind you of my previous sort of 6 attempts. So Berlin Marathon was my 7th attempt at breaking 220. And what a feeling it was when that finally happened. What's happened since Berlin Marathon, which was about 4.5 months ago, up until this point. So finally broke 220, and it was honestly the best feeling. I feel like every single failed attempt up until that point just made that point so much sweeter. And you know what I've seen in running, it happens often where people just set another goal straight away. You know, they don't enjoy it. So I made sure that I enjoyed it as much as I possibly could. You know, I binged on a lot of food that I wouldn't normally binge on, and you know, I drank a lot more than I would have, and you know, I just really celebrated hard. It was such a big moment for me, and that was great. But obviously, you know, from then, you know, the body, that stuff, when the margins are tight, that stuff puts the body out of shape. And then there's a thing called post-race depression. And because I'd hit such a high, the post-race depression was worse than ever before. I hit such a low, and it was tough because obviously, you know, you hit a low, you're like, I feel a bit incomplete. I need to target something else. And now I was in a position where, you know, I wasn't quite in the shape that I'd wanted to be in. With that sort of came a bit of like forced training. Unfortunately, that made me a bit sick. I got a few niggles. I had to take a week off, which I actually haven't had to do in the last sort of 6 years. But finally, I'm back into a position where, you know, I'm feeling super strong going into this training block. Mentally, I'm up for it. Emotionally, I'm up for it. Physically, I'm up for it. So it's definitely there for the taking. But having said that, you know, it's probably going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. It's not going to be easy, but if it was easy, everyone would do it. So I promise you, I'll document things as best as I possibly can. So yeah, it's been a whole 360 since Berlin Marathon. Highest highs, lowest lows, but honestly, just, you know, ready and pumped to go again. So just to speak to my previous 6 attempts, and I'll get them up on screen now, I've managed to average 221. And do you know what? A big sort of inroad in this is that my second last attempt, which was Manchester Marathon, I ran 222.40, and then Berlin Marathon I ran in 219.45 and got that magical sub 220. So basically that was a 3-minute improvement. And for London Marathon this year, I would love to just run a 218xx. So pretty much anything with 218 and I'll be over the moon. And pretty much what that means is that I need 46 seconds to find over the marathon distance. So it's just over a second a kilometer. I can't believe what I'm talking about. This just how tight the margins have become. A second a kilometer over the course of 42.2k is just madness. But do you know what? Like, as you start sort of reaching your peak and higher heights, then pushing that ceiling whilst trying to juggle everything else becomes trickier and trickier. But hey, us runners love a challenge and we wouldn't have it any other way. So yeah, 1 second to find per kilometer. I don't want to change too much this training block. I've lived in Winchester now for pretty much almost a year, and it's another training block in the area that I live in. It's a lot more hilly, those hilly country roads. They definitely work you a lot harder than what I was training for in London for my previous 7 years, let's say. Another change that I definitely need to be disciplined on is to just nail that strength work, get that strength work in. Remember, you know, I'm a lot bigger than the people I compete against, and sort of at 77, 76 kilograms at the moment. It's all about sort of power to weight ratio. So it doesn't really matter whether you know, stick skinny or, you know, you're big. As long as you've got good power to weight ratio, that's what you're looking for in running. And one thing that's going to increase my power to weight ratio is by getting that good strength work in. So, you know, a loaded weighted strength work in at least once a week, good plyometric strength, and just getting all round stronger. Remember, I've been running for 12 years now, and I've sort of don't come from a running background at all. So I feel like my body's actually, you know, I've been relatively consistent for the last sort of, you know, 10 years or so, but I feel like I'm still molding my body in order to hit optimal performance. And we haven't hit that ceiling just yet. And then because I'm targeting a slightly faster time, and I've got, you know, another year's experience in the body, I'm going to have to push things on the higher end just a tiny bit more. So a tiny bit more mileage, a tiny bit more volume, and then increase the intensity just ever so slightly. Remember, we're looking for 1 second a kilometer, so no need to do anything too crazy. I've always been self-coached, and I'm going to go into this race self-coached once again. And I'll explain why now. So I'm a coach myself, and I feel that I really love the routine that I'm in at the moment. And yes, if I got a coach, it might add completely different ideas and different structures, and I might be able to level up more. But at the moment, I'm just loving my routine, loving my structure, and I feel that I do a lot of my training according to the training that I give to my athletes. I love testing it out myself, and I feel like I'm really in a good groove, and it makes me happy. And I feel like when I'm happy, I run best. And I've noticed that with a lot of athletes, when you're training hard but enjoying it and happy, that's when you'll bring the absolute best out in you. So nothing's feeling forced at all. And I feel like I'm on to something good. So, if it's good and working, then let's not change it. Okay, and why I feel like this London Marathon is super special. Do you know what? Like, so many people are targeting London Marathon. There's so many of the influencers out there targeting London Marathon. If you look at the world's best athletes, it's the strongest field that they've ever had at London. If you haven't had a look, I highly suggest you go and have a look. Like, even if conditions are terrible on the day, the times are going to be phenomenal, because just the level of athletes at the higher end. With that comes motivation. There's going to be a hell of a lot of people in front of me, and just the fact that I know that the world's best are going at it in front of me, and there's probably going to be a lot of like other sub-elites in and around me. Competition's going to be huge. That's just going to bring the absolute best in me. So yeah, that's super motivational in itself. Like, it's the biggest stage. In the past, when I've full sent it, it's gone horribly wrong for me. And a part of me, to be completely honest, is still a little bit scarred from that. I think in 2021, I went through halfway in just under 70 minutes. So target tracking for a sub 220, I probably wasn't quite in shape. And then I think I finished in about 233 or so. So hit an absolute wall in the second half. And since then, I've almost been like emotionally scarred of full sending London Marathon. So in the last 3 years, I've paced people, I've enjoyed it, and I've absolutely loved it. But I feel like the time has come again. The time is now, Nick, for me to absolutely full send this race. It's my home marathon, and I'm up for it. So yeah, I need to just get that monkey off my back. So that's, really motivational. Another thing that probably isn't quite in my favor is, I'm a bigger boy compared to what I compete against, and any course with a little bit of incline or elevation sort of counts against me. So even though London Marathon is quick-ish, it's not the quickest out there. It's probably, in my case, about 60 to 90 seconds slower than something like a Valencia or a Berlin, something that's, super flat. So that means that I just have to get into even better shape. And I think, if I'm able to run 218 something in London, which I've got to truly train for and believe I can, then I think at Valencia later on in the year, when I target that one, then I could probably go at least 60 to 90 seconds faster than that. But let's take it one race at a time. And then something that's massively motivating for me is that recently Eliud Kipchoge, my hero, if you're watching this, we love you. But he just recently started following me on Instagram. And it sounds like a small thing, but the fact that I know that he might be, checking how my training's going, or, see a few posts or whatever the case is, it's extremely motivational for me. So I'm like, Kipchoge's keeping an eye on me. I have to up my game. So yeah, that was really cool. And, with moments like that come motivation, and so much to getting the best out in you in the sports is just staying motivated to consistently show up week in and week out. Talking to you right now, I feel, slightly nervous, but I feel like no matter how many races you've done, you always get that race buzz, that race feel. And it's awesome. I hope that never ever goes away, and we can channel that energy. So let me channel this, nervous, excited energy. I always said once I broke 220, anything from here on in is a bonus. But, I can't half-heartedly go in, or that's never going to happen. I need to go 110% in, and that's what I'm going to do. And one last thing with this training block that sort of worked really well for me in the past is that I'm doing regular racing throughout. So pretty much, I noticed, for Berlin, and it's a bit of a controversial subject, because some people believe that you should put all your eggs in one basket. And if you look at like Kipchoge, he wouldn't do races in the build-up. He'd strictly focus on marathon day. But I feel like for me, when I do races, I tend to recover pretty quickly, because I've run for a long time, and the body recovers a lot quicker than what it would in the past. But also it reminds you how tough racing is. Like, sessions are great and that you work hard, but racing, like, there's no hiding. You get exposed, and it's always good to remind your body and teach your body to suffer in that way. So yeah, my race schedule's pretty busy coming up. I've got a local 10K here in Winchester, and then I'm doing the Brighton half marathon, the Cambridge half marathon, and then I'm doing a couple of 5K very competitive races. And I found that when I broke 220, I was doing, you know, those 5K races where you're running, you know, those 5Ks at 20 seconds faster than marathon pace. And just by doing that regularly, it makes marathon pace feel more and more achievable. And hopefully that's going to be the case this time around again. So yeah, if you're doing a marathon or targeting London yourself, please let me know. Please let me know in the comments below exactly what you're going to be targeting with a little bit of a background story. And then yeah, once you nail it, come back in comments. I find it hugely motivational. But like I said, I'll document it all. I'll be bringing it all to you. And let's get into the best possible shape that we can. Yeah, under 10 weeks to go. And it doesn't come to you. You have to go out there and go and earn it. Boom shakalaka. Let's go.